A political earthquake just hit American trade policy. A federal appeals court has ruled that a major portion of the Trump administration's tariffs on Chinese goods were unlawful. This landmark decision could reshape the economic landscape for American businesses and consumers. The ruling questions the president's authority to impose sweeping tariffs and sets up a high-stakes battle over the future of global commerce. Years of tariffs have changed prices on everything from washing machines to smartphones, and now their legality is in doubt. Lawmakers and business leaders are scrambling to understand the implications as billions in potential refunds for American importers hang in the balance. The current administration must now decide whether to appeal to the Supreme Court or accept the ruling and chart a new course on trade with China. One thing is clear, the rules of the game have just changed. What is a tariff? You might have heard the term in the news or during political debates, but what does it really mean, and why does it matter to you? Simply put, a tariff is a tax that a government places on goods coming into the country from abroad. It's one of the oldest tools in international trade, and it's used by countries all over the world. For example, if the US government decides to put a 25% tariff on steel imported from China, that means American companies have to pay an extra 25% in taxes to bring that steel into the country. This makes the imported steel more expensive than before. The main goal of tariffs is to make foreign products costlier, so that American-made goods look like a better deal. This encourages shoppers to choose products made in the USA, supporting local businesses and jobs. This strategy is known as protectionism. By using tariffs, the government tries to protect domestic industries from being undercut by cheaper imports, helping factories and workers at home stay competitive. But there's a catch. While tariffs are meant to help local industries, the extra costs often get passed along the supply chain. Importers, wholesalers, and retailers may all raise their prices to cover the new tax. So in the end, it's everyday consumers who pay more for things like cars, electronics, or even groceries. Tariffs can give a boost to certain industries, but they also tend to raise prices across the board. Sometimes they can even spark trade wars, where other countries respond by taxing American goods in return. When countries retaliate with their own tariffs, American exports, like soybeans, cars, or high-tech products, can become more expensive overseas, making it harder for US businesses to compete in global markets. The result? Higher prices for everyone, disrupted supply chains, and a lot of uncertainty for businesses and workers. Markets can become volatile, and economic growth may slow down. Tariffs are a powerful tool in a government's economic toolbox, but they come with real risks and consequences that affect us all. Understanding how tariffs work is key to grasping the stakes of this court decision, and how it could impact your wallet, your job, and the broader economy. The tariffs at the center of this case were not just a matter of economics. They became a symbol of a much larger struggle between two global superpowers. The Trump administration's main weapon in a rapidly escalating trade war with China was the imposition of sweeping tariffs, a move that would reshape international commerce. Launched in 2018, the administration claimed China was stealing American intellectual property, forcing US companies to hand over technology, and engaging in unfair trade practices that hurt American innovation and jobs. Using Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, the US imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, targeting everything from electronics to clothing and machinery. The conflict quickly escalated, impacting thousands of products and raising costs for American companies, especially those that relied on Chinese parts and materials to keep their businesses running. Some US manufacturers cheered the move, hoping for protection from foreign competition. But many businesses that depended on Chinese components faced higher expenses, supply chain disruptions, and tough choices about whether to pass costs on to consumers or absorb the losses themselves. China retaliated with its own tariffs, targeting American exports, especially agricultural goods like soybeans, pork, and corn, hitting US farmers hard and threatening their livelihoods. The trade war quickly became a two-way economic conflict, with both sides suffering. Prices rose, markets became uncertain, and global supply chains were thrown into chaos, affecting everything from groceries to electronics. American workers, farmers, and consumers all felt the impact in their daily lives, whether it was through job insecurity, falling crop prices, or higher costs at the checkout counter. The tariffs divided the business community and fueled a fierce national debate, with some arguing they were necessary to protect American interests, while others warned of long-term economic damage and global instability. Now, as the dust settles, the courts have stepped in to decide if these sweeping measures were even legal, setting the stage for a landmark decision that could redefine the limits of presidential power in trade policy. After years of legal battles, the U.S. Court of Appeals delivered a stunning rebuke to the Trump administration's trade war expansion. The court didn't strike down the initial tariffs, but ruled that later, broader rounds were unlawful. The key issue: the administration missed the legal deadline for imposing new tariffs under Section 301. The court found that the president can't keep adding tariffs indefinitely. There are limits set by Congress. This wasn't about trade policy, but about following the law. Over 3,600 American importers argued they were illegally taxed, and the court agreed. The decision sets a major precedent for presidential power in trade. It's a victory for businesses that challenge the tariffs' legality. The ruling could reshape how future administrations wield trade authority. The court's decision hinged on timing and legal limits. Section 301 allows tariffs within a year of investigating unfair trade practices. The first tariffs met this requirement, but later rounds, covering over $300 billion in goods, came too late. The government argued these were just modifications, but the court disagreed, calling them new actions outside the law's timeframe. The ruling affirms that the executive branch can't expand its powers without clear congressional approval. Agencies must follow the rules set by Congress, even in high-stakes trade disputes. The decision draws a clear line. The president's trade powers are not unlimited. What does this mean for you? With all the headlines and legal jargon, it can be tough to see how these big decisions actually affect your day-to-day life and your wallet. If the ruling stands, tariffs on a huge list of goods are now illegal. That means the extra fees that were tacked onto thousands of imported products could disappear almost overnight. American importers could see costs drop significantly. And in a competitive market, that should mean lower prices for consumers. Retailers and manufacturers will have more room to cut prices or offer better deals. Everyday items like electronics, luggage, and appliances could get cheaper. Even things you don't think of, like clothing, toys, or kitchenware, might see price drops as import costs fall. The decision also opens the door for billions in refunds to companies that paid these tariffs. That's a huge windfall for businesses, especially small and medium-sized ones that have struggled with higher costs. That money could fuel business growth, hiring, or even more price cuts. Companies might invest in expanding their operations, hire more workers, or pass the savings along to you at the checkout. But don't expect instant savings. Appeals could delay changes, and supply chains take time to adjust. It may be months before you notice a real difference in prices, as businesses work through existing inventory and contracts. Some companies may keep the savings for themselves, at least at first, but overall economic pressure and competition will push prices down. Over time, the benefits should reach most consumers. The ruling acts like a broad tax cut on imports, offering relief to families and businesses. Lower import costs can help everyone, from big corporations to local shops and everyday shoppers. It's a rare chance for real savings at a time when costs are rising everywhere. For many, this could mean a little extra room in the budget, or the ability to afford things that were just out of reach. The impact will ripple through the economy, from store shelves to factory floors, affecting jobs, prices, and even the products available to you. For now, all eyes are on what happens next. The final outcome could shape your shopping experience and your wallet for years to come. The Biden administration faces a pivotal choice: appeal to the Supreme Court or accept the ruling. Appealing would mean defending a Trump-era policy, prolonging uncertainty for businesses. Accepting the decision would end the tariffs, bringing relief to importers but opening the White House to political attacks. Either way, the administration must craft a new strategy for dealing with China, one that moves beyond blanket tariffs. This ruling forces a rethink of U.S.-China trade relations and the tools America uses to compete globally. It's a reminder that even presidents must follow the law, and that trade wars have real costs at home. The choices made now will shape the economy and U.S.-China relations for years to come. The story is far from over.